Deep under the sparkling waves of the ocean lay the magical kingdom of Ogu. This was no ordinary place. Here, merfolk ruled, and the waters pulsed with secrets and ancient power. The coral palaces glowed like stars, and the sea was alive, with spirits that whispered in the currents and gods who controlled the tides. At the heart of this underwater world was the royal family, keepers of the ocean's deepest mysteries. King Obiadata was married to Queen Adakid, and on their wedding day, a mysterious prophecy was revealed. It spoke of two daughters born to the sea, twins whose destinies would be as opposite as the sun and the moon. One would bring peace and the other destruction. This prophecy weighed heavily on the queen, though she could never have imagined how soon it would come to pass. The queen gave birth to twin daughters on the night of a rare blue moon. The spirit of Ogu, the powerful goddess of the ocean, seemed to watch over their birth. The first twin, Ayanwu, had a fiery spirit. Her eyes were dark as a storm, and her green shimmering tail sparkled like emeralds. She was wild, untamable, and filled with power like the crashing waves. Ayanwu was the storm, and even the sea seemed to obey her will. The second twin, Onwu, was her opposite. She was calm and graceful, her movements as soft as moonlight dancing on water. Her bright blue eyes held a quiet strength, and her blue tail shimmered like the clearest part of the ocean. Onwu brought peace. As the twins grew older, their differences became even clearer. Ayanwu was bold and commanding, as though she were born to rule the ocean. Onwu, however, was drawn to stories of the land above, the fishermen, the wide-open plains, and the winds that carried their songs. She often dreamed of a life among humans, though she knew it was forbidden. Queen Adakid reminded her daughters of the 3 laws of the sea, rules passed down for generations. 1. Never reveal your true form to humans. 2. Never fall in love with a human. 3. Never betray the ocean. These rules were sacred, protecting the merfolk's existence. But Onwu felt trapped by them, longing to break free. While her sister Ayanwu was consumed by the prophecy and her desire for power, Onwu's heart drifted toward a different path, a path that could lead to great danger for them all.
Hi everyone, just a quick break to remind you to subscribe, like and comment if you're enjoying the story. Your support means so much to us. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the Akko family. Let us know where you're watching from in the comment section. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always being here. We appreciate you. Now let's dive right back into the story.
The moon hung low, painting the ocean with a silver glow. Onwu swam further than she ever had before, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. She had always been drawn to the stories of humans, stories of their songs, their laughter, their lives on the land. Tonight, the pull was too strong to resist, even though she knew she was breaking the sacred laws of the sea. As she neared the shore, her eyes caught sight of him. He stood alone, silhouetted against the soft light of the moon. His strong hands worked skillfully, casting his net into the water with the ease of someone who had done it 1,000 times. His dark skin glistened in the moonlight, and his presence exuded a quiet strength. Onwu's breath hitched as she watched him, her curiosity turning into something deeper, something she couldn't quite name. She hovered just beneath the surface, her shimmering tail flicking gently as she studied him. Who is he? She wondered. Her heart ached with the desire to know more, to speak to him, to understand the world he lived in. Finally, unable to resist, she rose from the water, her form breaking the surface like a secret unveiled. Kaneo turned at the sound of the water stirring. His eyes widened as he saw her. At first, he thought it was his imagination, a figure so radiant, so otherworldly, that she could not possibly be real. But there she was. Her long, flowing hair shimmered like silk, her blue eyes glowed like the heart of the ocean, and her sapphire tail sparkled under the moonlight. She was breathtaking. Onwu hesitated, fear mingling with the strange warmth blooming in her chest. But when Kaneo stepped closer, she felt an unspoken connection between them, like the current pulling her toward him. "Who are you?" His voice was soft, filled with wonder. "I'm," Onwu faltered, She wasn't sure if she should tell him, but the way he looked at her with awe and kindness made her feel safe. "I'm Onwu." "Onwu," he repeated, the name rolling off his tongue like a melody. "I'm Kaneo." The sound of his voice stirred something deep within her, a sense of belonging she had never felt before. Slowly, he extended his hand toward her. Onwu hesitated but found herself reaching out. When his fingers lightly brushed hers, a spark shot through her. It was as if the ocean itself had stilled, holding its breath for this moment. "You're real," Kaneo murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. His touch was warm, so different from the cool embrace of the sea. Onwu's heart raced, and for a fleeting moment, the world felt perfect. But then, like a thunderclap, the realization hit her. She had broken the first law. Her mother's stern warnings rang in her ears. "Never reveal your true form to humans." Panic surged through her, and she pulled her hand back as if burned. "I have to go," she said quickly, her voice trembling. "Wait." Kaneo stepped forward, but it was too late. Onwu dove beneath the waves, her shimmering tail disappearing into the depths. She swam as fast as she could, her heart pounding not just with fear, but with the memory of Kaneo's touch and the longing in his eyes. As she retreated to the safety of the ocean, tears mingled with the salty water around her. She had broken the law, and she knew the consequences could be dire. But despite her fear, she couldn't forget the way her name had sounded on his lips, or the warmth of his hand in hers. Kaneo walked back home, the cool night air brushing against his face. His heart was still racing from what he had just experienced. He carried the net of fish over his shoulder, but his mind wasn't on the catch. It was on her, Onwu. The name sounded magical, just like the creature he had met by the shore. As he reached his small hut, Kaneo's best friend, Udo, was waiting for him by the fire. Udo was a cheerful, easygoing man, always ready with a laugh. He looked up as Kaneo approached and grinned. "Kaneo, my friend. You've been gone so long I thought the fish had swallowed you," Udo teased. Kaneo dropped the net beside him and sat down heavily. "I met her," he said, his voice low and serious. Udo raised an eyebrow, confused. "Met who? Did you find a wife among the fishes?" "No," Kaneo said firmly, leaning closer to the fire. "I met a mermaid. Her name is Onwu." Udo froze for a moment before bursting into laughter. He clutched his sides, tears forming in his eyes. "A mermaid? Kaneo, have you been drinking palm wine by the shore? What kind of tale is this?" "I'm serious, Udo," Kaneo insisted, his tone unwavering. "She was there right in front of me. She had the most beautiful blue eyes, like the clearest part of the ocean, and her tail, it sparkled like the stars. She spoke to me. She even touched my hand." Udo shook his head, still chuckling. "Kaneo, you've lost your mind. A mermaid? Do you expect me to believe that? If you truly met this Onwu, then you'll have to take me there tomorrow. I need to see this magic for myself." Kaneo nodded. "Fine. Tomorrow I'll take you to the spot. You'll see that I'm not lying." "Good," Udo said with a grin, still skeptical. "But don't blame me if it turns out to be a fish playing tricks on you." Kaneo shook his head and picked up the net to take it inside. As he emptied the fish onto a large clay basin, something caught his eye. A glimmer of blue among the pile of fish. Carefully, he reached in and pulled out a delicate necklace made of blue emeralds, its shimmer reminiscent of the ocean's depths. His breath caught in his throat. It was hers. Onwu's necklace. It must have fallen into the net when she touched it. Kaneo held the necklace in his hands, his fingers brushing over its intricate design. It felt cool and smooth, almost alive. He sat down, staring at the necklace, his thoughts filled with her. The way her voice had sounded, soft and musical. The warmth in her eyes, the touch of her hand. She had captivated him in a way he couldn't explain. Kaneo clutched the necklace tightly, a strange determination building within him. He didn't know how, but he had to see her again. For the first time in his life, he felt as though something extraordinary was within his reach, something that could change everything. Tomorrow he would take Udo to the shore. But tonight he would dream of Onwu. Deep beneath the waves in the glowing kingdom of Ogu, Onwu sat quietly at a coral outcrop, her blue tail draped over the edge. She rested her chin in her hands, staring blankly into the distance. Her heart fluttered as she replayed her encounter with Kaneo, the warmth of his voice, the touch of his hand, the way his eyes had looked at her like she was a treasure. She let out a soft sigh, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing circles on the smooth coral. For the first time, the vibrant beauty of the ocean around her seemed dull compared to the memory of the man she had met. "What are you doing here, sitting like someone in love?" Onwu jumped, startled by the voice. She turned to see Enyenmu, her twin sister, swimming toward her, her green tail shimmering with each movement. Enyenmu's dark eyes were sharp and filled with curiosity as she stopped in front of her sister, arms crossed. "What's going on, Onwu? You've been acting strange ever since you came back. You look like you have secrets," Enyenmu said, narrowing her eyes. "You know we don't hide things from each other." Onwu hesitated, her cheeks warming. "It's nothing, Anya," she said softly, using her sister's nickname. "Nothing," Enyenmu exclaimed, her voice rising. "Look at you. You're practically glowing. You can't fool me. Tell me what happened." Onwu bit her lip, torn between keeping the encounter to herself and trusting her sister. Finally, she took a deep breath. "'Kay, fine. But you have to promise me you won't tell Mother. Please, Anya. Promise me." Enyenmu rolled her eyes. "You're lucky I hate keeping secrets from you, but fine, I promise. Now spill it." Onwu leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I met someone. A man. A man." Enyenmu's eyes widened. "Yes. His name is Kaneo," Onwu said dreamily. "He's a fisherman and he's so handsome, Anya." His smile, his voice. "Oh, I can't stop thinking about him. Every time I remember him, I get this strange fluttery feeling in my tummy." Enyenmu stared at her sister, her expression frozen for a moment before she exploded. "Onwu, are you crazy?" she shouted, her voice echoing through the water. "Have you forgotten what Mother told us? You revealed yourself to a human. That's the first law, Onwu. You broke the first law." "I didn't mean to," Onwu said quickly, her eyes pleading. I was curious. I wanted to see the world above, and when I saw him, I couldn't help it. He was different, Anya. He wasn't like the stories Mother told us about humans. He was kind and gentle. Got carried away. Please don't tell her. It was a mistake." Enyenmu glared at her sister, her heart pounding with a mix of anger and concern. "Do you have any idea how dangerous this is? If Mother finds out, she'll be furious. And what about the sea spirits? Do you think they'll just forgive you for breaking the law? This isn't a game, Onwu." "I know," Onwu said, her voice trembling. "I know I've made a mistake, but it's done. Please, Anya, don't tell anyone. You're my twin, my other half. I need you to keep this secret for me." Enyenmu sighed, running a hand through her long, flowing hair. "You're impossible, Onwu," she muttered. After a long pause, she finally nodded. "Fine. I won't tell Mother. But only because you're my sister. And you better hope this Kaneo of yours doesn't bring trouble to our kingdom." Onwu threw her arms around Enyenmu, hugging her tightly. "Thank you, Anya. I promise I'll be careful." "You better be," Enyenmu said, pulling back and giving her a stern look. "And don't you dare go back to see him." Onwu hesitated but didn't respond. Deep down, she knew she couldn't make that promise. The next day, Kaneo and his best friend Udo walked to the riverbank. The sun was high in the sky, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh water. Kaneo's heart raced with anticipation, his thoughts consumed by Onwu. "So, where is this mermaid of yours?" Udo teased, grinning. "I'm starting to think you had too much palm wine that night." "She'll come," Kaneo said firmly, scanning the water surface. He refused to believe that what he had seen and felt wasn't real. Hours passed, and the river remained still. Udo stretched lazily, yawning. Kaneo, my friend, I think the fish are playing tricks on you. There's no mermaid. Maybe it was just a beautiful dream. Kaneo didn't respond. He kept his eyes on the water, unwilling to leave. But Onwoo was there. Hidden behind a cluster of rocks near the shore, she watched Kaneo with longing in her heart. She wanted nothing more than to reveal herself, but the weight of the first law, and her mother's wrath, held her back. Her blue eyes sparkled with unspoken love as she drank in the sight of him. Unbeknownst to Onwoo, Enyanmu had followed her. Concealed among the coral, her gaze darted between her sister and the human man. She could see the way Onwoo's eyes softened when they fell on Kaneo, the way her sister's tail flicked nervously as she hesitated. Then Enyanmu's eyes shifted to Kaneo himself, standing tall and strong by the riverbank. His dark skin shone in the sunlight, and his confident demeanor intrigued her. For the first time, Enyanmu began to understand what had captivated Onwoo so completely. So that's him, Enyanmu whispered to herself, a hint of curiosity and something else creeping into her voice. Eventually, Kaneo sighed in defeat. She's not coming today, he admitted, his voice heavy with disappointment. Udo burst into laughter. I knew it. You've been chasing shadows, my friend. A mermaid. Next thing you'll tell me she has a golden crown. Kaneo didn't respond to his friend's mocking. As they walked back to the village, his thoughts remained on Onwoo. His hand brushed against the blue emerald necklace he had found in his net, and a faint smile crossed his face. She was real. He knew it. Then they left. Back in the ocean, Enyanmu returned to the royal palace. She couldn't shake the image of Kaneo from her mind. His strong features, the way he stood with such determination. It was no wonder her sister had fallen for him. But as much as Enyanmu was curious, she was also troubled. The next day she approached her sister. What are you doing, Onwoo? When she finally found Onwoo sitting alone in their secret cove, Enyanmu's curiosity got the better of her. So that's him, she asked, startling Onwoo. Onwoo turned quickly, her face flushing. Anya, were you spying on me? I was, Enyanmu admitted, folding her arms. And I have to say, I see why you're so smitten. He's not bad to look at. Onwoo's face lit up with a shy smile. Isn't he? He's not just handsome, Anya. He's kind and brave and forbidden, Enyanmu cut in, her tone sharp. You know what mother would do if she found out. I know, Onwoo said softly, lowering her gaze. But I can't help how I feel. He's different, Anya. He makes me feel alive. Enyanmu sighed, torn between her loyalty to her sister and her fear of the consequences. Just be careful, Onwoo. Whatever this is, it can only end badly. As Enyanmu swam away, she couldn't shake the strange feeling stirring within her. Kaneo's image lingered in her mind, and for reasons she didn't fully understand, she felt drawn to him too. He was such an attractive man, and she was also having feelings for him too. Meanwhile, back in the village, Kaneo sat by his fishing net, turning the blue emerald necklace over in his hands. Udo's laughter still echoed in his ears, but he didn't care. I'll see you again, Onwoo, he whispered. I know I will. Little did any of them know, their fates were becoming more tangled by the day, and the tides of love and betrayal were about to pull them into uncharted waters. Watch out for part 2.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to stay connected by leaving your thoughts in the comments, giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when a new content drops. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next video.